Now, Les Brown is a renowned professional speaker, author, and former television and radio personality.
Very entertaining. I think anyone would like him.
Les has risen to international prominence by delivering a high-energy message which tells people how to shake off mediocrity and live up to their own potential. It is a message that he has learned from his own life, and one that he's helping others to apply in theirs.
It's not hot in that room, but he's sweating. He's putting everything he's got into it.
Yet his hunger to learn and his passion for self-improvement enabled him to rise above those limitations. In addition, he was selected one of the world's top 5 speakers by Toastmasters International and is recipient of the Golden Gavel Award. Les is known internationally for his ability to inspire and motivate through his public presentations, PBS TV specials, audio and video learning programs, and best-selling books. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Les Brown.
How many have major goals you'd like to achieve? Raise your hands, please. Very good. I want you to shake someone's hand on your right and left, look them in the eyes, and say with conviction, you have something special. Do that quickly, please. Very good. I like to ask that question before I speak, because I like to know who's in the audience and what your expectations are for your life. And when I ask that question, a lot of people raise their hands. Some people don't. Some people don't want anything much. Most people operate in the area of survival. How many of you know people who should be here? Raise your hands, please. See, they're fine just like they are. Now, but there are some people who that just surviving is not enough. I believe that there are 3 types of people in life. There are winners, there are losers, and there are winners who've not discovered how to win yet. And these individuals, it's something about them that drives them, that they will invest in themselves. They go to seminars and workshops and lectures, and they're seeking, there's something in them that says, I can do better than this. That there are people who would be glad to be where they are and would be happy, but they're not. How many of you know if you had your life to live over again, you can do more than what you've done thus far? Raise your hands. I was reading a story about George Bernard Shaw, who was a very brilliant man in his day, and I love to quote him. But one of the things that was asked George Bernard Shaw that really resonated with me at the end of his life, somebody asked him, if you had to be anybody in the world, anybody throughout history, if you had the power to be born again, who would you like to come back as? And without blinking, he said, I'd like to be born as the man I never was. I like to be the man I never was, that I never became. Seeking to connect with that person. There's another person here that you're looking at. There's somebody else back there. And every chair in this place, there are 2 people in this place in every chair. You're in the chair with somebody else. There's another person back there. You know they're back there. And that person is the person that you want to become connected with. And sometimes you do. Sometimes you've had some experiences where you said, I can't believe I'm doing this. How many have ever done that, please? That you surprise yourself. Well, every time I speak, I see this as such a sacred opportunity. And I'm so happy. Sometimes I think I'm dreaming, because when I look back on my life, and this Les Brown that you see was in bondage for so many years, didn't come out till late in my life. I had him under arrest. I was in bondage with fear. I wanted to do what I'm doing. And I thought about things I wanted to accomplish, and I held myself back because I was afraid to fail. I was afraid to make mistakes. I was afraid that I would embarrass myself. I was intimidated by people who had college degrees because I didn't have a college degree. I still don't have a college degree. And so I would think about the things I wanted to do, and then I would start thinking about the fact, Les, you can't do that. So that's what I told this guy in me. Les, you can't do that. You don't have a college education. Les, I hear what you're saying, but come on, be logical, be practical. You can't do that. I know you feel good going to see Zig Ziglar and Tony Robbins and the late Dr. Norman Vincent Peale and Robert Schuller. I know they motivate you and inspire you, but get real. You can't do that. You never worked for any major corporation. Come on, let's be practical, be logical. Oh, yes, I know people told you you have a gift of gab and you have a nice personality and you're funny and you make people feel good and you make them laugh, but you become a speaker, speak for corporations, train and teach people and motivate people to do something you've never done. You're not rich, you're not successful, you don't have any books, you don't have the resources, you don't know the people, you don't have the contacts. You can't do that, Les Brown. See, my heart said, I can do that. When I looked at my dream and saw someone doing what I love to do, I love to help people. How many love to help people? And my heart said, I can do that. And then I made a critical mistake. I asked, how? The mind became operative. The mind came up front and said, Les Brown, I heard what your heart said, but I want to ask you, how will you do that? And so I went from my heart to my mind, and I tried to figure it out. How would I do that? At that time, I wanted to earn $1,000 an hour. My mind said, do you make $1,000 a week? I said, no. Okay. Have you ever done this before? I said, no. Okay, well, I'm not saying you can't do it, but let me ask you some other questions, all right? Have you any contacts with anybody that can teach you how to do this? No. Okay, well, maybe there's something else. Do you have the money? No. Do you have the credentials? No. Will anybody stand up for you and say, oh, he's done it for me and I know he's good? No. Well, let me ask you, do you really think you could do this? No. There's an African proverb that says, if there's no enemy within, the enemy outside can do you no harm. How many of you ever thought about something you wanted to do? You felt it in your heart. You couldn't explain it. You felt it in your heart. And you talked yourself out of it. Raise your hand if you know what I'm talking about. I talked myself out of it. No one did it to me but me. The forte of fruiters is not in our stars, but in ourselves, that we are underlings. My first major goal was I wanted to buy my mother a home. And I achieved that. I'm adopted. I feel like Abraham Lincoln, who said, all that I am and all that I ever hope to be, I owe to my mother. Saw a sign once that said, God took me out of my biological mother's womb and placed me in the heart of my adopted mother. My mama was a good woman. She adopted 7 children. Mama only had a 3rd grade education, but I admired her character. I admired her personality. She never met strangers. Mama met you right now. She would talk your head off. You know, she was a funny woman. She always had a sense of humor. Mama walked fast. We walked with Mama downtown. We had to hold her dress. Mama would walk fast. We trying to keep up with Mama. Years later, at the end of her life, when she was 89 and suffering from breast cancer, we took her to a furniture warehouse, and she got out of the car with my sister, and she was holding my arm, and I said, Mama, I said, they have a wheelchair here. Can I get this wheelchair for you? And I went and got the wheelchair, and she looked at me. She said, no, boy, I would walk this place myself. I said, Mama, but it's so huge, Mama. how are you in a wheelchair? She said, I'm fine. And I saw her straighten herself, and she walked it herself. I admired her strength. I said, oh, Mama, you know, this morning I got up, and every time something happens to me and I want to get down and I want to surrender to any of the challenges I encounter, and I got up this morning, and the sciatic nerve and this L5 and L4 of my lower disc protruding, and I was in pain, and my body said, you can't do this speech today. And somebody said, are you going to surrender to this pain, or are you Mamie's boy? Get up and straighten your back. You can do that speech. You can walk that flow yourself. When you start walking, you won't feel anything but her presence with you. Sometimes we have to stand up inside ourselves. Sometimes we have to fight ourselves. Sometimes you have a dream and goal that you want to achieve, and you say, oh, I can't do that. You got to tell yourself to shut up. I can do it. Don't tell me I can't do that. Sometimes you got to talk to yourself. I can do it. I'm Mamie's boy. Oh, I can do this. Oh, I will do it. I have got to do this. What you think about your dream? And I want you to increase your dream dramatically. I said you have something special. I'm telling you what I know. You have greatness in you. You have the ability to do more than you can ever begin to imagine. I don't even know you, but I'm telling you what I know from my own experience. And greatness, ladies and gentlemen, greatness, it's a choice. It's not your destiny. Most people never discover their greatness. Most people, ladies and gentlemen, go to their graves living a life of mediocrity, living a life far below their potential.